Welcome in, everyone. This is another edition of the Full-Time Roundup podcast. It is your host, Daniel Brackett, joined alongside me, Harrison Clark. Harrison, it was a wonderful weekend for footy, for sports. Your team got blown out in college football. My team won, so pretty surprising here, honestly, that my team won as well. And Charlotte FC tied with Miami. But both of our soccer teams won, so congratulations on that.
You as well. I think blown out for UNC is a little bit ridiculous. They lost by 1 point, but they were up 20-0, so it really felt like a blowout.
In my head, it was a blowout because
I
of
guess
that.
if you compare it to like losing or giving up 70 points to James Madison and then blowing a 20-0 lead, like in the end, they all feel the same. And I just feel really sad at the end. But other than that, yeah, quality weekend.
There we go. And we'll go ahead and jump right into to the games just to give you guys a little bit of preview here. We'll be talking about this weekend's action. We'll be going over Champions League matches. We have some best bets for you, and then we'll be back on Thursday previewing this weekend's action as well. So 2 episodes this week. We did not do an episode last week. So just to keep that in mind. And before we start, go ahead and give us a follow on Twitter at Full-Time Roundup. On Spotify, Apple, or any other place you get this podcast, go ahead and give us a 5-star rating, and definitely subscribe on YouTube. We're actually doing video content now. We're starting to get more in the flow of doing TikTok clips of what we like the most about the episodes we do. So definitely give that a follow as well on YouTube Shorts or TikTok. So to get that out of the way, great weekend, especially in the Premier League. A lot of talking points, and I think I kind of want to start this with City dropping points to Newcastle. It was a 7:30 game, so I'm not going to act like I woke up at 7:30, but I did wake up right at halftime and watched the entire second half, and was really surprised that City just didn't find a way to get a winner at the end. They were up at halftime and gave away a penalty here to was it is it Gordon? Yeah, Gordon. And didn't know, he's not the penalty taker usually, but he's thrown the most penalties out of anyone in the Premier League. I think it's 5 now since like last season, which is a pretty high number. So I mean, that's a great result for Newcastle. And if you're Liverpool, or Arsenal, or any other team trying to compete for the Premier League title, these are the kind of the weekends and the games that you love is when City drops points.
No question. It brings a smile to my face whenever I see City not come home with 3. You can make an argument that Newcastle arguably should have won this game. I mean, their XG is almost 2. And City's was below 1. They get the goal from Vardiol. Gives them the lead by halftime, but then Ederson brought down Gordon. He was able to bang in the pen. And like you said, I think that is this going to be, I think the question I have is this going to be a common theme we start going forward? Because we mentioned last episode that, Rodri is going to be a huge miss. I mean, the guy doesn't lose when he's in there. Just a fact. He doesn't lose. And of course, this isn't a loss, but it probably feels like a loss when you're going for the title every year, and the way that Arsenal's picking up points right now. So definitely not a game that City intends to drop points in. I know Newcastle have a lot of talent, but they also haven't had a great start to the season.
No.
So obviously a massive result for them. And like you mentioned, it gives a lot of hope, I think, that to teams that are chasing them. That they are human in a sense.
No, I can't agree more. And I don't know if you saw the actual foul in the box, but I actually think that was kind of a soft penalty, to be honest. And
I didn't see it.
This is a guy who doesn't like City, so coming from me, I feel like that means a lot. And there is stock in there, but I mean, it is what it is. I thought Newcastle at times looked really good in this game. It's kind of frustrating because you think they can take the next step to actually challenge for like top four, and then they lay an egg. They seem to really show up for the big games, and then the small games, they don't. And which is I feel like that's very frequent with teams that aren't quite there yet but are getting there. They show up in the big games, it gives you hope, and then you go and drop points to like a Brentford or something. So um Tonali's back. He ran his absolute socks off. You got Tonali and Gimaresh in the midfield. That's a pretty good pivot there. Harvey Barnes, Isak missed too. So you talked about City missing Rodri and De Bruyne. Arguably Newcastle's best player missed out. So I feel like that pretty much evened it out there, and a great result for the Tyneside.
I love Newcastle's midfield. Like when it's those three of Bruno G, Tonali, and Joe Linton is an absolute monster.
Unit.
That guy is a freak. And they got all three of them going, especially, you get Tonali to get his reps back in. I know it's been a long time since he's really been a big part of what they want to do there, but you get him involved, those three together, I think it's a perfect mix for them.
Absolutely lethal. But no, I agree 100%. To kind of go to another result that shocked me, and probably the most entertaining match. Your inquisitive look knows where I'm going with this. This is Chelsea's statement win over Brighton. Cole Palmer, first time of all time in the Premier League, 4 goals in 1 half. I was stunned by this game. I was stunned by Cole Palmer. And Harrison, I'm kind of scared now because people have heard me kind of talk shit on Chelsea now for 6 months, maybe 12 months, and they look really fucking good right now. And I'm scared personally.
It's okay. You're not the only one who's talked a lot of shit about Chelsea over the last 12 months. I think just about everybody involved or who watches soccer has talked shit about Chelsea in the past.
And Maresca. And I owe both of them a big apology. Actually, I owe Maresca a big apology. Chelsea shelled out the money, so they should be good, but I was not a believer in Maresca. And, we've seen some good managers come and go, and he seems like he's the guy.
Yeah, no question. I think that he's obviously got the guys that he wants. He knows who he wants to play. The guys that he knows aren't going to be in his plans, he purposely just doesn't even work with them in training. And like at the beginning of the season, people were saying it was brutal, but at the same time, like if you want a cohesive unit, you got to get the guys together who are going to play for you. So I think he's done a great job of that, obviously, and then managing the team itself. I mean, going forward, Chelsea right now are pretty frightening. I'm not going to lie. Like the way Cole is playing right now, like he's one of the best players in the world. Like you can put him anywhere and he's going to be successful. He's taking guys on one-on-one. He's playing some unbelievable passes, and then he scores 4 in 1 half this weekend. I mean, his numbers since he's joined Chelsea have been absolutely ridiculous. He's averaging almost a goal and an assist every single game, which is pretty remarkable. This game was just dude, there was a stretch for like 20 to 25 minutes in the first half where it looked like every single chance for either side was going in.
Yeah.
I mean, Chelsea are always going to give teams opportunities. I guess we're just kind of seeing that. Like, I don't know what the hell Robert Sanchez was doing on either of Brighton's goals. The second one in particular was horrific. Just passes it straight to him, and it's in the back of his net 2 seconds later. But man, Chelsea going forward, it's really exciting. And you knew when Brighton, they're playing that high ass line, dude. It's a ball through every single time. You time your run right. Like they mentioned it in the broadcast. It reminded me a ton of Chelsea playing Tottenham last year when Tottenham was on 9 men at one point. And it was just a ball through every single time. And that's how Nicholas Jackson ended up with his hat trick that game. So, I mean, the free kick too from Palmer. I mean, good grief.
Apparently doesn't even take free kicks in training.
No.
He's like, no, I just went out there and hit it.
I've seen him take a couple for Chelsea, but for the most part, I do feel like it's either a healthy Reece James when he's in there, or it is like Enzo scored a ridiculous free kick last year too. I mean,
Yeah.
that's the first free kick goal Palmer has scored, or at least that I remember. But the guy is just lethal right now, and Chelsea are buzzing. Can we make the case? Can they push if City has results like that? I mean, I don't know. It's still a really young team, but
Don't get ahead of yourself here.
I'm all in. I told you I'm all in. This is complete bias coming out of my mouth, but like top 4 is so much in reach, I think, with this team. That's the most reasonable expectation I have, is that with the kind of talent that they have and the coaching that they're getting from Reska, top 4 is so much in reach.
I argued that you should be top 4 just because of how much you spend and the signings. You guys are so deep in the front line. So
we're so young, though.
And so young. But, you know, I've seen what I need to see defensively. Obviously, that's always going to be a problem. And that's probably what's, you're always going to score goals, it seems. It's just how many you're going to give up. Almost looking like a Spurs last year, where attacking with Ange, they looked amazing, and then just would give up the dumbest goals of all time. Still kind of doing it if you're a Spurs fan, but I'm just saying, like, that's like my comp right now, or like an early Jurgen Klopp Liverpool side, very leaky in the back, but really good going forward. Cole Palmer might be the dude, might be the guy who looks, he could not look dumber. Like, the guy has a rock brain.
Yep.
And he scores 4 goals, and I don't even think he realizes how many goals he's scored. Like, it's incredible. And
I honestly think, like, you're right. Like, I really don't feel like there's much going on up there.
There's
but
nothing
I think that almost helps him. Like,
no, it does.
Not
absolutely
not process anything. Like, there's a reason that he hasn't missed a penalty. And he's cold as shit. That's what he is. Like,
he's really ice cold because he can't fathom how good at soccer he is.
Right.
That's it can't go to his head, and his ego can't blow up because he's too stupid to realize how good he is. And I think he's the best player in England. So, if hopefully he'll continue this little thing he's doing. I don't know if it's just his charm of his personality, or he really is just a good kid or what, but I'm really hoping that he continues to stretch because it's absolutely nuts.
The TikTok algorithm right now for me is just all funny. Cole, and it's just him. It's just memes of Cole. Like the one where there was I think it was probably their media day before the year, and they're like, "Yeah, give us the 1, 2, 3,
I saw that.
You score," and then he just goes, "What about 4?" And they're like, and then it just flashes to him scoring 4 this weekend. Dude's a beauty. I mean, he's just, I don't know. I don't have any words to say.
My favorite's when the reporter asks a perfectly simple question. It's like, so Cole, how did it feel like scoring 2 goals today? He's like, what? It's like, what do you mean? But anyways,
it's so strong, dude.
Yeah, no, it is. But he's truly an anomaly, and I honestly love it. But just to recap, if we're talking top 4, Arsenal won kind of late, 4-2, but it was tied for a while there, and they ended up winning 4-2. So good on them, and Liverpool do the same. Fairly tight games from fairly bad opponents, but those are the games you gotta grind out and win. Liverpool were kind of playing with their food there, so a little bit different of a game in terms of mistakes. But both teams look good. A couple other things I wanted to mention. Brentford, 3 games in a row, have scored within a minute.
Insane.
Don't really know how that's possible. 2 of them is from Brian Mbeumo.
He's having a hell of a year so far.
Yeah, I mean, he's a phenomenal player, and he's like a Diego Jota on Wolves, who's like a depth piece for a top 6 side. I don't think he should be at Brentford anymore. He could be on United second string type player.
First string.
First string for United, but for any other. But yeah, I thought that was super interesting. We also saw Everton win their first game of the season. So holy shit.
Big
congratulations. Ups. I mean,
they're back.
I guess, are they back? Dwight McNeil is just
good player.
Dwight McNeil put Burnley on his back before they got relegated, and it seems like he's doing the same region for Everton right now. So I'm really interested to see if he can continue to do that.
His first goal was nasty. Did you
I mean,
see that?
I didn't see the goal, but he can strike a ball. I know.
Yeah, he bent it in from outside the box, top corner. I was like, okay, the Toffees need that.
There's a reason why I was okay with Liverpool signing him when he was down in the championship as like you need a goal throw on Dwight McNeil in the 85th minute and see what he can do with his left foot. I'm a big fan personally, so I like it. And the last game that I wanted to talk to in legitimate depth here was Spurs and United at Old Trafford. Spurs score, not as quick as Brentford usually do, but pretty freaking quick. Van de Ven takes the ball literally coast to coast.
What a fucking run.
And this is the second time I've seen this type of goal against Manchester United at Old Trafford in the same week, Harrison. That Twint game,
Yeah.
Twente, I don't know how you pronounce it because I'm not Dutch, but the guy basically took it coast to coast and then sweated it. Same exact goal. There's 6 players. Like I wish we had some screens here to show you like Carragher breaking down that goal or something. That would have been good content. But I mean, no one even challenges for the ball. He literally just runs right through everybody. And no one even sticks a finger. You have Diogo Dalot on the back post, literally sees Brennan Johnson open and just decides not to cover the back post. I mean, embarrassing. Like absolutely astonishing, embarrassing. You play for one of the biggest clubs in England. No, the world. And you guys are showing your bare ass on a primetime slot twice in a week. I mean, is it coaching malpractice? Is it just the same shit with United that it is every single year? Like they have talent. Ten Hag spent $600 million. Like I don't get it. I really don't.
It's bad. It's really bad.
It's hilarious.
It's funny bad. Too. Like I despise Manchester United, and I'm laughing and smiling every time I see them pull this kind of performance. But like, dude, it's just bad. Like Ten Hag, I don't know how he's still there. I really don't. Like this is the same shit that's happened for the past year. And yeah, the trophy saved his job. But like how far do you go with this? I really, Dan, I don't see him making it past the next like international break.
No, I don't either. You have Ruud van Nistelrooy as the assistant coach. I think he's got someone else there already kind of lined up as an interim. Reminds me of another sport right now that's kind of happening with the Eagles, Sirianni, Vic Fangio, and Kellen Moore as the OC and DC. Like those guys are ready to step in. That's how I feel Ruud van Nistelrooy is. I'm just like a comp king right now. Sorry, it's way too early in the
You're
podcast.
Hot, kid.
I'm kind of hot right now.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you sign Manuel Ugarte. He watches the dude just fucking run right past him. There's no passion. And it's hilarious because it's the most Man United thing. You on the last game of the season, of course, you show up against your rivals and you win the FA Cup, and it buys Ten Hag, 3 more months when arguably you should have sacked him from even with the good season. So it is absolutely dreadful. I don't know where you go from here, and I don't feel bad for United fans because you had the Fergie era. But, I mean, if you're a newer Manchester United fan within, say a decade, I mean, this has got to be a tough ride because the dysfunction here is I just don't know who you hire to fix this. You've gone through 5-6 managers, $1 billion. I don't know, man.
What the hell happened to Marcus Rashford? Genuine question.
I don't really know.
Dude, 2 years ago he was unreal. Last year, bad.
Being a star at Manchester United, and then you don't have a manager like Fergie to, set you straight. The Ferguson era was so good from what I've been reading in his autobiography because I didn't get to witness that much of that era. But I mean, he he basically shoved David Beckham out because he thought that David Beckham was bigger than the team, and Fergie doesn't mess around with that. So I don't know. The dressing room seems to have more power than the coach usually. That's how the coaches get sacked. I'm surprised we haven't seen reports about that in the locker room at Manchester United.
I saw a video today, and it was Sky Sports talking to. They brought Graham Potter on the desk, and they were talking to, and Graham Potter was addressing the links that he's gotten to Manchester United. Was like,
I don't know
I
about that
mean,
one. You have to have a very strong personality in terms of in terms of um, your manager at Manchester United. Ten Hag was supposed to be that guy. He ended up just being kind of a dickhead. Like I think Thomas Tuchel is the guy. Um,
I think
being
so.
honest, I think Thomas Tuchel is the guy. But then he's going to freeze out probably half of these bum signings, and you're kind of back at square one until in terms of building a team. But yeah, that's kind of the
Hey,
that's kind of
Chelsea
the
fans are happy with Sancho, by the way. Yeah, he's
yeah.
doing well.
Yeah,
It's
well,
fun.
he did well at Dortmund in the Champions League final, so I'm sure I'm sure he will. That makes sense.
Yep.
Um, but yeah, no, kind of going to a different note here. We got the Bundesliga up. Bayer Leverkusen, Bayern Munich shared the spoils 1-1. Disappointing game in terms of I thought this was going to be like one of the instant classics, but we did have two really good goals in this game. Pavlovic, the young German, absolute rocket. And I'm blanking on who scored the Bayer Leverkusen goal. Was it Andrik? Andrik from outside the
Mhm.
box, both off a corner, I believe. So similar goals in that fashion. But I actually was surprised. I've been kind of laying on this take that Bayer Leverkusen are better, and Bayern Munich kind of dominated this game, Harrison.
They were all over him the entire game.
Well, at least they looked so good.
No, yeah, dude's a problem. He's a good player, and it's funny because now Crystal Palace look horrific. But that's a different story. Yeah, Bayern were dominated possession. I really wouldn't say there was too many A+ chances in this game. I mean, Bayern had the opportunity early, I believe, in the second half when it was Gnabry. He hit the post twice. Uh, that was the really big opportunity for them to take the lead. But like you mentioned, the two goals that were scored, Andrik banger bottom corner, that put Leverkusen up to a lead against the run of play too. And then was it Pavlovic? Yeah, just an absolute banger,
Yeah.
half volley, top corner, and I thought we were going to see plenty more goals in this game, but we didn't end up having that, and it ended up being, I guess, for Leverkusen, you take this draw any day of the week. Obviously, tough game on the road. In a game that I thought they would really have more possession in, they kind of just sat back and let Bayern have the ball and let them pass it away. But I don't know. I guess I expected more from it. I just thought it was going to be a thriller, and it kind of was a snooze fest, to be honest.
Yeah.
But I mean, sometimes that's what you get with two of the top teams. You're going to get a cagey one, and neither team is going to want to give up anything.
In terms of my Bayer Leverkusen take, I feel like they're still in it for the title. So is a lot of teams. So at least I got that from that. I didn't love how Xabi Alonso set up his team, but I don't know if this Leverkusen team is as good as last year either. So we'll kind of have to see. Talk to me at the end of October, and we'll have to see. Now, there were Stuttgart drew Wolfsburg. I thought that was pretty interesting because I didn't expect Wolfsburg to be a similar wagon to what they were last year, but it seems like they definitely are. And then
Stuttgart did have a red card too.
Yeah, Stuttgart did get a red card, but Dennis Undav comes off the bench and saves them the point. But the game that I thought was super interesting was a Friday game, Bochum versus Dortmund. And I thought Dortmund was going to take care of business and absolutely blow the doors off of Bochum. And Bochum go up 2-0 in the first half. And I am just dumbfounded. I'm texting my Dortmund buddy, just giving them shit for it because I just was in disbelief basically. And they ended up tying it up, or no, scoring one right before half, and ended up winning the game 4-2, similar to the Arsenal that they've garbage time goal and everything. But I haven't quite figured out this Dortmund team yet, and they're showing like flashbacks of last year, but they do play a little bit better football than they did last year. Have you been able to get a handle on them yet?
No, I think they're still trying to adjust to Garassi being there. It seems like he's like not super comfortable yet. That's my sense watching the game. I was like, he just doesn't look like he's really in the flow quite yet. He's
starting with the injury to start the season didn't help that either.
No, yeah, it's going to take him probably a little bit of time to get back up to his speed, but I mean, he's still back too. Like the guy is such a threat in the box. They're probably also not used to having a true number 9. I feel like they haven't had a real 9
for a
while, and they finally have a guy who they can put balls into the box. I mean, scores a header in the first half to make it 2-1. They were really bad the first half. First 35 minutes, they were dreadful. And Bochum, they were growing with confidence after they scored the first one. Then they get a second one. And that's really when Dortmund knew they had to wake up, was when they were down 2-0 and needed to avoid this embarrassment of losing at home to Bochum. And they put it together and really dominated the game from then on out. But I haven't really gotten a read on Dortmund. I think Garassi, you get him fully involved, they'll be a good team. Gittins didn't really have a huge impact in this one. Came off
disappointing.
The bench. Sorry, got injured. He got started, and I don't know. I guess I wanted to see more from him, especially because he usually is a super sub and he got his chance in the lineup. But we'll see. I guess it's still early, but they got to win. I guess like they avoided the embarrassment.
Yeah, no, I get that. I will say another team that, if you don't know much, and I don't know much about this team personally, but I've kind of figured out that Holstein Kiel games just in general. Go ahead, sit on the couch, have a cold one, or get your morning coffee, whatever you prefer, and they're on that game because that game's going to be a wild ride from start to finish. It includes goals, really bad concessions, some nice goals as well. So they're kind of they're a nice pulse check team to wake up to in terms of a Saturday at 9:30.
They gave Frankfurt a scare for a little while,
and they did, and thankfully, they missed it. It's a TK, but Oliver, or is it something Marmouche? Is a phenomenal player, and he's really balling out. He's actually the top goal scorer of the Bundesliga as of right now. So wanted to give him a shout out and Kiel a shout out. They're a pretty fun team to watch. Even they might not win many, but they look good in terms of just for a neutral.
Good entertainment.
Great entertainment. Also, if another pro Bundesliga on Sunday, the scores were 4-2 and 4-3.
Yep,
for the standalone. So not much else you can ask for in terms of entertainment. Kind of switching to La Liga here. In opposite manner, 3 out of the 4 Spanish Sunday games were all 1-1, and the other one was 1-0. So talk about a tale of 2 leagues here. But in terms of the biggest game of the weekend was definitely Atletico Madrid and Real Madrid drawing. Eder Militao, absolute rocket to start the scoring. No Mbappe, obviously, in this game. And Atletico knocked on the door for a while, and they happened to get their goal late. It was almost offsides until it wasn't. And Simeone's men get a much-needed point in terms of keeping pace with the top 3.
Yeah, they don't lose. That's big. They don't lose. They will either find a draw or they'll win the game. And that's a good sign for Atletico going forward, especially when you need to pick up as many points as you can, just to even keep pace with Barcelona and Real Madrid. So that's obviously a huge positive for them. Pulling out a draw against Real Madrid in and of itself is a win. So, and any Real Madrid, regardless of whether Kylian Mbappe plays or not, which he did in this game, But we talk about the Met, that place was fired up. The game got delayed because the supporters were going mad. So always great home support for Atletico, and it's always a tough place to play. And a really good result for them. You get the late goal, you keep the momentum going into the next fixture, and you draw one of the best teams of the world. Like, you can't ask for much more.
This was also a good result for a team that didn't play, and that's Barcelona. Barcelona happened to lose to Osasuna. At some point, playing as many youngsters as possible is going to catch up with you, and it did this game with this 4-2 result, especially with no Ter Stegen in the back of the net. They did sign Szczesny, and he reported to Catalonia this week, so they'll probably have him for, I'd say, next weekend's action. But they could have really, if Real Madrid won this game, they're looking right at the top of the table, probably a draw, I believe. So, if you're going to drop points, make sure your rival drops points as well, and they did. So, that's good news for Barcelona fans. I personally would like to see Barcelona win, switch it up here, or Atletico. So I enjoyed at least seeing that. Calcio. What I got in Calcio here, Inter Milan and specifically Lautaro Martinez are officially back. They started the season off basically sleepwalking. And they were like dropping points even though they like tied City, which made no sense. And so Lautaro Martinez got 1 and then he got 2. So he's been absolutely abysmal to start the season. So he opens his account. Still like him to push for the top goal scorer in Calcio here. And once you open the account, like we always say, it's the goals are going to flow. So we'll kind of see how he plays in the next game, but it's good for him to have a bounce back game for sure.
Yeah, I mean, he's their most important player. I mean, if he's not banging in goals, Inter probably aren't going to win a whole lot of games, and that's part of why they've had a slow start. We mentioned that maybe the Milan Derby might wake them up a little bit, because anytime you lose at home to your rival, you're going to have some backlash, and they were able to pull out 3 points on the road. So obviously that's massive for him, and let's see if that propels them into more wins coming up, because they are, what are they? They're only 2 points back of Napoli. I mean, it's still early. I think they'll be fine, to be honest. But I'm sure this will start a streak for them. I would not be shocked if they went on a little run here and reclaim the top spot in Serie A.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Congrats to Napoli as well for holding that spot. I
think that's great.
Playing really good ball. Scott McTominay is absolutely dominant in Calcio right now. So the only worry for me is, if Lukaku misses extended time at any point, you have Kvaratskhelia, but is Raspadori going to do the trick up top? I just don't see. I don't think so. I just don't. So they have a pretty complete squad other than up top. I just don't think those backup number 9s are going to fit the bill. Maybe I would love to be wrong. I mean, Raspadori's been in the national team before, so we'll have to see on that. Milan, AC Milan, the other Milan, they beat Lecce. So Fonseca is, I think, steadied the ship for now. I think he'll continue to as well. So I think he's there for the future. Rocky start, but Pulisic continues to dazzle. Another goal in this game. Rafa Leao is starting to click into gear. He had an absurd pass to Theo Hernandez for Theo Hernandez's goal. I like this Milan lineup a lot. I like this team a lot, and I think they're gonna play some really attractive football throughout the season.
They have too much talent to be bad. They just got too many guys that are, in my opinion, top drawer. I mean, Pulisic, it's so impressive what he's doing. I'm really happy for him, obviously, as a U.S. fan, but also as a guy who supports Chelsea. Never really got, I don't think, the treatment he really deserved at Chelsea, and so to see him flourish at Milan is great to see. If they can get Leao going, I mean, he's obviously way too talented to be silenced for his, whatever this is, first 5 games of the year. I mean, they get him going alongside Pulisic. I think AC Milan becomes a much more dangerous team, and we'll see if they can put it together in Champions League because obviously they have a big game tomorrow, I believe.
Yep, they do, and that's a great segue into this week's games. We have Champions League, Europa League, and Europa Conference League all week. So we're really gonna just focus on the Champions League because that's really what matters at this point. But I wanted to cover some of the biggest games, starting with a game that's very dear to me and Harrison's heart, especially me, considering um, you know I'm an absolute sicko and I watch the Dutch league and I'll watch the Portuguese league. We have a lineup or matchup of PSV for Sporting Lisbon. PSV at home. Both teams are playing good football right now, but do you have an edge for one team or the other?
It's hard to pick a side. It really is because both these teams are kind of dominating their leagues. So it's hard for me to want to pick one or the other. I mean, PSV didn't look great against Juventus last week, but obviously Juventus is defending extremely well right now, and it's a tough wall to break right now. Lisbon, I mean, I just feel like these teams honestly are pretty even. I would not be shocked if they drew this game. I think I like Lisbon going forward a little more, just with the Gyökeres is so dangerous. Like I really do think he's basically Holland 2.0 in the box. Anytime he gets the ball, it's a problem. Um, but I feel like PSV has more depth than Lisbon does. They got a lot of guys that can make a lot happen. So I honestly, I don't really lean aside here. I think that this game will be pretty even, and I wouldn't be shocked if this was a draw.
If it was at Lisbon, if it was at home at Sporting, I would back Lisbon 1,000%. I still think they might get a result here, definitely a draw, but I could see them winning this game outright. I just think they're the better team. And most importantly, they have the better coach. So, but this game could go either way. I think PSV are still a good team. So they don't really have to worry about the Dutch league because they've already almost won that already.
Dude.
So.
Eredivisie is so bad this year.
Yeah,
it's bad last year too.
Ajax are starting to come back a little bit. I still have faith in Ajax, but yeah, the Dutch league for the most part is pretty shitty. Leverkusen versus Milan, second biggest matchup I see here. I think this is going to be a really fun game. Really fun. I lean Bayer Leverkusen, but I thought Milan did play Liverpool pretty well, so they could be sneaky here. I just think it's going to be a high-scoring game, but I'd probably give the edge to Milan.
To Milan?
Or no, I mean, sorry, to Bayer. Excuse me.
Okay. Yeah, I'm kind of in the same boat. I just feel like I've seen Leverkusen do it for a little longer than Milan. It's been a couple games now for Milan. So obviously that's good mojo heading into this one. I'm with you. Like I could see goals. I feel like part of me thinks that Leverkusen's going to have the majority of the possession, but also I feel like they're not really a possession-based team. Like I feel like they're more of just kind of hit you from wherever. Like they can go down the flank and then occasionally like Xhaka just hits a banger and you're like, where the hell did that come from? But Milan can be dangerous on the counter. And
both are counter-attacking teams, so this could be basketball end-to-end type.
I mean, I would love to see that. I just I don't know. Part of me is a little scared because we just saw Leverkusen basically park the bus against Bayern. And I'm not by no means saying that Milan is anywhere close to Bayern. But I don't know. Part of me is wants to say it'll be low scoring after watching the Bayern game of two really good teams going at it and it becoming kind of cagey. But also Leverkusen's better in my mind than Milan, so they should. All right, that's why I lean them. I don't know. I'm kind of torn also on this one because Milan's in good form and Leverkusen has shown good form for the past year.
Number one, Leverkusen is at home. And number two, they didn't want to lose the Bundesliga in the first 5 games of the season. I think is what Leverkusen was thinking this weekend. With Champions League, you have so many games, you can't afford to drop 1 or 2 if you need be. Plus, you're at home. I do think that this won't be a cagey match. Now, I could be completely wrong, and I understand kind of where you're coming from with that. I just think that since it's a different competition, I don't know. Maybe the same logic applies, but we'll have to see on that one.
Part of me also thinks though that Milan might get after it a little more after losing their first one.
Yeah, that's also true. That's also true. So I mean, we'll have to see. I'm pretty pumped. So
Should be a great game regardless.
It's going to be one of the best games on the slate. We also have Arsenal PSG. Talk us through that. Dembele dropped, by the way. Sorry.
That's all right. I like Arsenal at home, to be honest. I know we've said just doesn't scare me in the Champions League. Just can't
do it.
I know you feel that way. I usually feel that way, but I lean them this week. I think they get it done. I don't know. Just a gut feeling for me.
Gut check time.
Yeah.
I think this is going to be super cagey. I think if someone wins, it's going to be like Arsenal, like 1-0, just a horrendous game, just in general. So I'm not a big fan of this one. I don't even know if I'll switch it on, to be honest, but we'll have to see. Let's see here. Aston Villa host Bayern Munich.
I like that.
I mean, if I told you like 10 years ago, yeah, Bayern Munich is going to be playing at Aston Villa in the Champions League, you'd be like, what are you talking about, dude? This is an interesting matchup just because, you would not think these two teams would play against each other. How do you feel about it?
I feel like there will be a lot of goals. That's my first thought.
Wide open? I see.
Yeah, that. I can see that. I can see Morgan Rogers just randomly plowing for a
run. Guys getting hot.
Yeah. Good player, confirmed.
Yeah.
But also Villa have played a lot of games, dude. They've played a lot of games in a short amount of time. Like was it last week they played
midweek
FA Cup or Carabao Cup, and then they played
Ipswich.
Off game at Ipswich, and then now they have Bayern. I kind of feel like they're a little overrun right now.
Not much depth. We're not elite depth.
Not a ton of depth. So I would lean Bayern here. And I think overall they have more talent than Villa, but Villa obviously has, I think, underrated players. It should be fun though. I feel like it's going to be wide open.
We haven't seen João Palhinha in a Bayern shirt really yet. This would be a perfect game to unleash the beast against a former Prem side. I think this is a perfect João Palhinha game. I just thought about that, and I have noticed he hasn't played that much. So
I haven't heard that guy since Fulham, dude. What the hell happened?
I mean, he's just.
I know he's tough behind these guys, but
he's getting settled. I have no issue. I think this guy is going to be a really good player for Bayern. So I'm going to keep the faith. Sometimes these signings take a little bit to get their feet wet. Yeah, I mean, I think Bayern are going to win this game. I could see a high scoring game, but I could also see Villa kind of running out of gas early and giving up and kind of setting their eyes on the Premier League this weekend. But the other part of me says Unai Emery ball. Look what he did.
When was the last time Villa had a home game in the Champions League?
I mean, gotta be. I don't even think there was the Champions League back in the day.
I mean, that's like the part that
really good.
That's the part that, like, I guess
the atmosphere could be rockets.
The atmosphere could be crazy, and like I'm thinking directly back to was it Newcastle hosting PSG last year?
Insane.
That place was bonkers.
It was insane.
So
dude, that's actually a really good point.
If the Villa crowd comes fired up,
they will.
It's gonna be a tough atmosphere for Bayern. Like I think lean them marginally, but like I don't know, man.
That's a great point. No, that's a great point. I think it's going to be a fun match. I'm not picking a side. I think it's going to be a fun one. And probably the last game, I just have to ask you just because I think it's funny. Do you think by what margin do you think Monaco are going to win by versus Dinamo Zagreb at Zagreb? Do you think this is a comeback to earth moment in terms of Zagreb actually puts in a good performance, or do you think that Monaco are just going to have their way with this team? I was just curious because I couldn't get a good feel for it.
I
They fired their coach, so
mean, by no, yeah. Hey,
and it's in Croatia.
could be the spark they needed. You never
We'll
know.
see.
Sometimes when guys get the new coach, it's like American sports. You always bet them the first game after that new life. Not saying I'm putting money on Zagreb because I'm really not that eager to do that. But I mean, shit, anything's better than what they pulled out, whatever it was 2 weeks ago. Literally anything. Like I think the moment they step on the field and before a ball is even kicked, that's already a better game than they played against Bayern.
Yeah, yeah. No, they'll always have that first half at least, or first 55 minutes.
Those first 2 minutes of the second half.
First 2 minutes of the second half because they were down 3-0. Yeah, you're right. Sorry, it's kind of an interesting slate. I keep finding games that I want to pick your brain on.
How about Liverpool? How about your Liverpool boys?
Liverpool, Bologna. Liverpool are a weird side. A lot of people are hyping us up right now, and I think we're good. I didn't even get to talk about this, so now I do. Thank you for reminding me. Gravenberch is insane. He's actually one of the best midfielders, if
You're all
not
in?
a top 3 midfielder in the world right now.
Whoa.
I'd if we're
Wow.
talking a top 3 midfield right now, just based off current form, I'm going Cole Palmer. I'm going Gravenberch, and I'm not sure who my third would be, but I know Gravenberch's in there. I mean, he's had 5 out of 7 man of the match performances. Metrics, he's all number 1 in every single thing in the midfield. It's insane. So I feel really good if he plays, basically, is how my mantra. Then you got McAllister as well, who's just an absolute Rolls Royce. Absolutely love it. I think we play well against this team. Bologna don't have Thiago Motta anymore, and it's at Anfield. So first home game at Anfield in the Champions League, kind of the same logic with Villa. I think it's going to be raucous. I think Liverpool win at least by 2, if not by 5.
It should be comfortable.
I hope so. I mean, our back line, it's sketchy once our back line is rotated. That's where it gets
Your back line's been bagging some goals though.
yeah,
Center backs are
but
getting involved.
that's with Ibu and Verge. When you put Kwanzaa out
I'm just
there,
saying in general.
Yeah, no, I will say that the corners have been nice this year.
Mint.
Atletico and Benfica. What do we think? That's the one
I
don't know.
I mean, yeah.
Benfica's kind of a wagon now.
Yeah. Portuguese atmosphere. We don't bring that into consideration enough.
Liverpool couldn't believe it.
Dude, that's a tough place to play.
It's a fat stadium too. It's beautiful.
Yeah, I heard it's massive. I know
Been
you
there.
have firsthand experience.
Yeah.
I lean Atletico, obviously. I think Benfica just aren't great. But again, like these road games with these home teams, they almost feel like traps sometimes. When you're thinking about betting them, you're all in on Benfica.
No, but I just know this is a trap. This is one of those traps.
I lean Atletico, but I could also very well see a draw.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be shocked if I would not be shocked in the slightest if this game tied.
Yeah, no,
I don't see
kind of
them
where I'm
losing.
leaning. I don't see Atletico losing either. I'm just saying this could be a trap game. I'd say Real Madrid is a big trap game. I don't know. I just feel like Real Madrid stink, and then I think the Villa Bayern game could be a trap game. So those are kind of my trap games I got for everyone, not in a betting sense, but just like you'd naturally just chalk it up, and I don't know. I feel like we'll see at least one upset this week. Now, it wouldn't be an episode if we didn't have our best bets, so we're going to give those to you right now. I'm going to say mine. Harrison's going to say his, so we can get a nice clip out for everybody. So my plays, I am 72, 62, and 8. Harrison, you are 66, 64, and 13, both above 500. Love that. My plays for Champions League: Stuttgart, Sparta Praha, over 3.5. Barcelona Young Boys, over 4. No Diddy. Bayer Leverkusen, AC Milan, over 3. Liverpool, Bologna, Liverpool to win by 2. And Dortmund, Celtic, over 3.
Okay, and I got Dennis Undov, anytime goal scorer against Sparta Praha, as you said. Barcelona, who even know the Young Boys. Barcelona Young Boys over 4. Dortmund Celtic over 3. Arsenal money line against PSG, good number, -140. And Villa Bayern over 3, as well as a game we didn't really talk about, Juventus Leipzig under 2.5. Give me the brick wall of Juve.
KG, love
like
it, love
that.
it. Love it. All right. Well, you heard it here, folks. If you want some action, feel free to tell our picks, or you could also fade us and see how that goes. I wouldn't recommend it.
Good week last week.
It was a great week for us last
whatever
week.
The 2 weeks ago.
It was. So, we enjoyed Champions League. We're glad we're back. And we'll be back on Thursday to recap and give you a preview for this weekend's best action.